Greetings and welcome to Atticus1.org's 6th radio show.
I suppose to start off, we can talk about what we talked about last week, just kind of run it off from there since Ski is here. And he was giving us updates on what was going on from the Fukushima meltdown, which was quite interesting, and just how people are perceiving what's going on there. And of course, there's the fact that we're hearing nothing in the news, so we really don't know what's going on, and it's just nice to have some eyes and ears there to let us know what's going on. So, Ski, how you doing? What's going on?
Hi, Brooke. Well, up to now this week, what I've been looking through, not much is... Oh, first of all, sorry. Hello, everybody. Hi, Bashi. Hi, Ree. Hi, Rose. And yourself, Brooke. Okay, this week,
Hi.
we've got an interesting... Hi. Sorry. We've got... First of all, just want to check, am I sounding okay?
Sounding great.
Okay, good. Right. Right, as you know, well, of course you wouldn't know because it's not ever getting reported, but the situation in Fukushima with number 4, the reactor number 4, they sent a camera into the reactor, and they watched it, had a look. It's in a total mess. It's in absolute dire straits, basically. And I think a lot of people know this, but if another earthquake happens, 7 point or over, it's basically going to be like 5,000 Hiroshima bombs. Now, if March the 11th was an attack of some sort, then having a dodgy power plant could just give you the protection the whole world. You know, you could just give Japan the protection, like, if you touch us, this is going to absolutely destroy everyone. That's something that's been talked about a lot here in Japan a lot lately. It's something like we have a bomb in our hands, basically, and that's been a lot of the conversation going on. And I'll get to the next subject in a minute, but what do you think about that? As in, like, they've got a bomb in their hands, and if anybody messes about, or if it is going to be another attack in Japan, that would totally affect the whole planet. I mean, without a doubt, it wouldn't just be Japan; everybody would be affected. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. If that was the case, that twists everything around. You know what I mean?
Well, I can certainly understand why they're not talking about it, because they don't want to create an all-out panic. However, we do have the right to know that this situation exists, and we do have a right to know what they're doing to correct it, if there's anything they can do to correct it. Now, there are a couple schools of thought on that. One is why if it's in that kind of a situation, why they're not evacuating the area. And this, to me, is just appalling that they're not, because we know how many people are in Tokyo, and we know how big that city is. You discussed that with us on the last show. And I find it very difficult to understand why they would not do and go about ways to protect the people in that area directly. And you're right. And there's the other school of thought that what kind of effect is this going to have on a global scale? If it is indeed as big as that, where it would be that many times the Hiroshima bomb, then we definitely need to know about it. And I think that keeping us in the dark about it is not really the right route to go. So, any thoughts on that, guys?
Star, let me just jump in. I have a question to Ski. Just for my understanding, you mentioned we have a bomb in our hand. Does it mean now that the situation is as explosive as a bomb, or that somebody has a bomb which he's threatening to, like a dirty bomb, or doing a terrorist explosion action like that?
No, basically, it's people are referring to that in Japanese, saying we have a huge bomb in our hands. In general, like the situation in 5,000 times Hiroshima bombs, we have that in our situation if another 7-point earthquake is or happens. So no, not terrorist threat type of thing, but in a sense, this is what I'm trying to get around. The fact that the situation has been left to dwindle like this. With the situation being like it is, you'd think that there'd be a whole lot of people getting involved trying to wrap this up. I mean, this is our planet. We could easily just cap this in no time if we really wanted to, or if they really wanted to, I should say. So, and I was just And it's kind of an interesting theory when people are saying, well, we've got a bomb in our hands. You know, if it was an attack in the first place, then you're not going to attack again. If it's not just going to kill the Japanese people, you're going to kill most of the planet. But there is, you know, there is that high likely that you could get another 7-point earthquake, and if that did happen, that situation in reactor 4 would cause chaos. Everybody would be racing to the airport. There'd be no point. You'd may as well. The whole place would it'd be too much. It's in total dire straits. So you're just like, we're living on that at the moment in Japan. That's what the people are living on. They're just if there's another big earthquake, there will be chaos type of situation. So they're just like, we're sitting on a bomb, you know, we're sitting on a time bomb also. People are referring it to like,
Okay.
we're sitting on a big bomb.
Okay. Okay, then I have one question. As now the situation is so dire, why is not been done more? Because I learned that in Fukushima there is no crowd of workers, there is no queue of people who are scheduled to do work maybe for 1 day or for 1 hour because they can't work so long because of the radiation. So why is not done more?
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation about that. You get in Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia. I'm sure you've heard of them. They have a lot of workers that they send down there, and they're getting paid like 80,000 yen a day, which is a huge amount. But nothing considering it can kill you. But you asked the question, why isn't anything getting done? That's what I'm referring to. Like, it's not just Japan's problem anymore. So why isn't anybody else doing anything? You know, why has it been stopped? Why is Japan sitting on this and just letting it dwindle out? And why is it in a situation like it is, and they're just letting it be like that? You know, is there a situation? Are Japan using it as a protection thing? That's my question. They're delaying it. Are we using it as a protection thing because they've been threatened so much within the ring of people, the big fight that's going on above all of us? But you never know. They could be using it as a protection thing. We're going to keep hold of it and hold the world at ransom type of thing and leave us alone. Or I don't know. It's just interesting because there's got to be some explanation why it's not being capped.
Yeah, actually, because I remember that time in Chernobyl, you know, the government rushed actually into a frenzy of action that time, the Russian government, and the situation is completely different now in Japan. I mean, this is handled more or less like a construction site, no? And if for people who are not so familiar with Chernobyl, just let me mention one thing. Maybe people can still remember that in the early days of Chernobyl, before they were building the sarcophage, there were kind of preliminary activities going on. They were constructing a tunnel to bring cooling equipment from underneath into the area under the reactor actually, and they had also an army of helicopter pilots dumping actually material, I think it was lead or something like this, into the core there, over the smoldering core of Chernobyl. And what I know is that the government was actually expecting thousands of people to become radiation sick, and dozens of hospitals were converted into radiation sickness treatment centers. And what I learned was that alone from the helicopter pilots, over 500 of these pilots died within, I think, 2 years or something like this. So I mean, there has to be a huge, effort has to be geared, or should have been geared up by the Japanese government by now. And it seems like everybody is in stasis there. Everybody is paralyzed, and they're looking at it like, I don't know, staring into, like a mouse staring into the eyes of the cobra, which is ready to snap at any time.
Yeah.
Hello?
Totally agree. Hello? Yeah, I totally agree. And there is not much that we can do about it. Only they can do it if they're willing to bring out their toys. You know, when if they're willing to come out and they can risk showing everybody their new toys, they could tap it. That I'm quite sure of. Anyway, we could keep talking about this forever, and we'd never get really down to the real nitty gritty. But the TEPCO situation, Like they've been threatening with a 12% rise in the electricity in June. And they've sent a letter to everybody in Japan. We got one as well. They're saying that we need to help the situation. We need to help keep the electricity going in Japan. So please bear with us. The bills are going to go a bit higher and stuff. Which if you go and study and find out, you'll notice that the TV companies or any company that would benefit them in any way whatsoever have pretty much not only got free electricity, but they're probably getting paid as well. So all the big companies, any company that's involved, even the slightest, if there's a slight threat in any way, where commercial companies or anything, they're getting all their electricity for free. Basically, the people are paying 90% of TEPCO, and only 10% gets paid by the companies. Yeah, that's bullshit, eh?
My question now is TEPCO alone responsible for the repair and the managing of this disaster, or is it been taken from them and been put under government control?
They say the government says that they're in charge, but it's obvious to everybody that they are only doing what TEPCO wants them to do. Even though TEPCO is not that much of a huge company. I mean, it's not bigger than whoever's controlling the government, but it's being made out to look like that. It's like TEPCO says this and they know what they're doing. And so, yeah, basically the government useless, not doing anything. They're just, if TEPCO says something, they'll just go along with it. So nobody really knows who has the final word. But they've been kicking off again. None of this gets into news outside of Japan, and not even in Japan. You have to find this stuff out on the internet, but there's been a massive rally down in Kyushu, and they're really kicking off. They were really going crazy down there about all the debris and stuff from Fukushima being sent down to Kyushu, which is south of Japan, and they are burning all the radiated material down there, and they will not have that at all. They do not want it, and they're kicking off, and yeah, all that type of stuff going on. But yeah, that's a good question, Bashi. It's like, who is really in charge of this situation? Nobody stands up in Japan. The Prime Minister does a speech and just blah, 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 doesn't talk about anything, doesn't answer any questions, won't take any questions. It's not like the Western media, the type of situation. It's very different setup in Japan. Everybody kind of shuts up and listens, and then after they've heard what they want to hear, then they kick off, type of thing. But it's building up, the tension's building. You can feel it with the people. They're getting very, very pissed off with the situation, as you can imagine. That was a cue for anyone else to speak.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say something. I was getting ready to say that I find that very odd that that here they are, the government of Japan and this TEPCO, and they're all within the vicinity where, if it should just blow, they're gonna go with it. So I don't understand why they're not doing anything to address it in a way that is a little more public. And again, that leads me back to thinking they just don't want to create an all-out panic, but yet they're still there. They're still there, right there within the vicinity. Obviously, if they're in Tokyo or based in Tokyo, that area, they're within the vicinity of Fukushima to suffer any fallout, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there won't be any earthquakes before or even after I've left them. They do reckon in 2013 they should have the situation sorted. So basically that's next year. Any earthquakes that come this year, that could rattle that place and set it off. I mean, but I mean, at the same time, I go to the airport a lot. I'm there quite often. I see a lot of Westerners coming in, and I speak to them. I speak to them in the smoking rooms. They've come to live here. It's like, it's only like last year everybody was leaving, and people are coming back, and I'm like, well, the situation, and they're like, yeah, but whatever. It's just like what the media says and blah blah blah, and yeah. Thing is with the situation, the more you talk about it, the more you delve into it, the more it can scare you, and it can make you feel like, wow, this is really fucked up. But the thing is, at the end of the day, there's not much you can really do about it. People are just doing what they can, but it's so above you. You can't. I mean, you can move out Japan, but that's not going to happen to most of the people. So like, there's not much you can do. All you can do is just go, right, that's what's happening. Big earthquake comes, you're fucked. You're not going to get to the airports. It's going to be chaos. I mean, how many people live in Tokyo. You can imagine everybody racing to the airports because it's exploded again, and this time it's serious. But it's not been serious yet, you know. That's the thing. It's like the calm before the storm. If anything does happen at all, um, it's one of them. If it kicks off and it explodes after a big earthquake, there'll be chaos, and yeah, then I'm stuck. I wouldn't go to the airport. I don't know what I'd do, but I'd find another way. But I'd get out eventually. But I'd just be joining in with that. Then I'll be reporting on my escape from Japan type of thing. But it wouldn't just affect Japan, you know, it'd affect everyone. It'd affect all the ocean. I made a thread about water, and it was only one thing that interested me. That it was a photo, and it had a picture of the globe, and then it had a tiny little ball of water that was placed above America very conveniently. And it was just an example that showed the planet with no water on it, and said that this is how much water is on the planet, and it looks tiny. And although 70% of the planet is covered by water, when it's actually put all together, it's just a tiny little ball that just like on the map. If you looked at it on the Agora, you'd see it, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it's very believable, and it doesn't take much to contaminate that much water when you look at it. Don't know if you've seen that. Have you seen that picture?
Yes, I did. I saw that.
Do you think that's accurate?
I don't know.
I just
It's hard
came.
to say.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ben.
No, I just for the last 2 minutes I couldn't hear anything and I was disconnected. I came in. I never had these problems before with vent, and it's the first time that this happens. So sometimes I might not. If anybody asks me, I might not respond because sometimes I really can't hear anything. Sorry. Just go ahead with the discussion. I don't want to disturb it.
Okay, Bashi. Well, yeah. As to your question about the thread that you put up about the water, the amount of water, it's possible that it is possible, absolutely, and yeah, it would definitely contaminate. Definitely contaminate. Now, if let's just say, for example, this Fukushima situation does explode. I'm just wondering how much chaos there would be in Tokyo. I would think there would be a lot of devastation if, in fact, it is that much bigger than the Hiroshima bomb. Now, we know what happened in Hiroshima, and if it's that much larger, you know, what are the effects going to be for Tokyo? Is there going to be anybody alive? I mean, you know, these are the things, and this is why I think maybe just possibly they're not, although I don't understand it and I don't agree with it, this may be why they're not really bringing this out to any great degree, because they don't want to create an all-out panic, and that's exactly what will happen if it were to get out that it were that serious. If you can imagine the population of Tokyo just all of a sudden heading for the airports or the out, you know, getting away any way they can, that would be huge chaos.
Yes, and may I break in here? We've been having an unusual problem with the stream. It disconnected and would not connect again. So I apologize to our listeners. I believe it is connected again. Is it, Rhiannon?
Yes, it sounds fine again. I do think we have the vent recording. I think Bashi and Rose both record from vent, as far as I know. So we will be able to stream the full conversation sometime later. Is that correct?
Well, sometimes I'm kicked off from vent and then the recording stops automatically. Hello?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you just said. Does that mean everything we've said is it's not gone out? Are we live now, or is it?
I don't know. Just let's continue because just going through the radiation storm here in vent. Ski, is it said that if this pool of this fuel pool on block 4 is going to get critical, is it said or explode? Is it said that it will be a kind of atomic explosion, or will it be just that a huge radiation leak will occur? Do you know something about that?
I've watched a lot of videos, and there's a lot that you don't know what to believe or not. I think that it'll just be a huge radiation spill, but at the same time, if it depends on how badly it gets damaged and under what circumstances. If the whole thing collapsed and all the water spilled out and the fuel rods were left alone under a huge earthquake, the fuel rods would be exposed. Then you're going into cold meltdown, and then you could not put water on them again after that because there's far too much there. So you couldn't, like what they were doing last time with the little when the firemen were there, like it was like a cartoon, and there was just one fireman with a hose and he's pouring it into one of the and the reason why I laughed, because I laughed when I first saw it, because I first thought, really, is that all we're doing or anybody's doing to try and stop? That was when Reactor 2 or something, when it was smouldering, or Reactor 3 or something, back in 2011. It won't be able to do that. Or if it collapses on itself and stuff, and the water spills out immediately, and things start hitting all the fuel rods, and the fuel rods bang against each other, then bang, it explodes, and then you've got like the Hiroshima bomb situation. So I don't know. I don't know the exact answer to that, because I've watched loads of videos and read loads of things, and lots of people have different theories on it. And even people who are professional, I don't know whether to believe them, because they do fearmonger a lot, and I know they're just doing it. They want to keep everybody updated and stuff, but unless it's spicy, they don't know how to keep the report going. So they just kind of tell you that it's gonna, like, Japan's gonna sink, and Tokyo will sink, and Japan will break in half, and all sorts of stuff. So it can get pretty nasty when you try and imagine what can happen. Well, if I listen to what they say and try and repeat it here, like you see some people's comments I've seen on websites where they go, well, if Japan gets sank, and so if we bury Japan, basically, would that bury the problem? It's like, you heartless fucker. And I have to just look at that and just skip it and go past. I mean, I've seen I won't mention the website, but we all know the website. But one person said that this is true. It made me laugh. I actually went in and told them this. They said Japanese women were bred by aliens for sexual purposes because they're absolutely perfect. And this guy's married to one for 8 years, and he made a thread, and I was expecting a whole bunch of shit, and people were agreeing with him and going, yeah, now you look at it, yeah, they were bred for sexual purposes.
Oh man, oh man, oh man.
Where the heck did you see this?
Avalon!
Oh, yes.
There you go.
So
well, they kind of been running out of ideas lately. It's our Jesus threads and Fukushima and God knows what, all that type of stuff. It's like
let me say something. Regarding the radiation, actually, I think one of the major dangers which people are not so much aware of is one aspect in the radiation, and they are called hot particles. And hot particles is like a cluster. It's like a small piece of dirt which flies in the air, which has accumulated around that piece of dirt maybe millions and billions of atoms which are radioactively active, and they are like, you can't describe it. They are like laser small nukes, more or less, which goes into your lung. And my question is, are people there aware that these hot particles are actually the major, is the biggest threat in respect of cancer, lung cancer, and so on? And are the people aware of that danger?
Yeah, everyone's totally aware. Whenever I've spoke about details to anybody, they're totally aware of what radiation can do, what damage it does. Of course, they were bombed. They were totally bombed, and they know the results from that, and it weren't that long ago. And they still have museums up showing effects of all sorts of radiation exposure. People, you see photos. I've seen photos of people, and their shadows. They said their shadows were still on the floor when these people were zapped by, when they got that big Hiroshima bomb went off. The shadows were left on the floor. And all these photos of people are just like mad. The ones who died, but the ones who didn't, when you look at the photos of this, it's pretty horrific. And the results afterwards, with birth, like, I don't know what they call it, but anyway, people being born like messed up. So they know quite a lot about it. And it doesn't seem, yeah, for sure. I asked myself that question as well. So it's like, you guys know about this and you're still living there, and wow, you really are fearless. Or you really just don't give a shit, or you must know something that I don't.
Where are you living right now?
Tokyo, in Tachikawa. So I think I'm about... Wait, I'm just going to go and ask the missus, and I'll find out exactly how far away I am from Fukushima. One sec.
Okay.
I think he's pretty fearless to be there right now. I know I would want to be as far away from that place as could possibly be. But, yeah, I don't understand why people would even be considering staying in that area. Or even near that area, just for, you know, the things we know and the things that are going on, things that you're hearing about, even at just the slight chance that anything like this could happen, you would think they would completely evacuate the area, not allow anybody in what you would consider a ground zero situation. And it just kind of goes to show you that I'm wondering, you know, this government of theirs, you know, what they're thinking, allowing these people to be there.
Well, I think the government is interested to keep the people there. The government is not interested in any evacuation. You know, but this is for every government.
Yeah, I believe last week Ski was talking about how it was kind of like or I don't know if he said that, I'm pretty sure he did, that it was kind of like an experiment to see what kind of an experiment. I have no idea. A pretty damn nasty one, if you ask me.
I don't think it's an experiment. I think it's. I mean,
yeah, I think you may be right about
who
that.
Who will want to experiment in this aspect to see whether people will move or migrate, or is it to see radiation birth defects rates climb, or is it like radiating microbes in a lab, or in which way an experiment?
That's the $1,000,000 question. Why? If it were, why? I mean, we don't know that it is, but just stating the fact that, you know, if it were, you know, or whatever's behind how it happened, you know, we know it was the tsunami and the earthquake, but the effects of this and the fact that they haven't gotten rid of anybody out of that area and completely evacuated the area is just very strange to me.
Yeah, to me also.
Okay, I just found out. Yes, I'm sorry. We are 220 kilometers away from Fukushima Daiichi power plant.
So let me ask you, now let's say there is coming a new earthquake in, and let's say it be a 7.5 or 8, or it becomes most likely that the spent fuel pool is going to whatever into the worst case scenario damage which can come from that fuel pool.
Yeah. So are you green light still on? I thought you were still talking. Have you finished?
For some reason, it looks like there's a stuck.
Well, anyway, yeah, if that happens, yeah, I'm out of here. But same as everyone else, everyone will just be like hitting the highway, like I said. You know, do I have a plan?
Do you remember last week you had mentioned briefly something about you thought it might? I think you had mentioned something about it might be some kind of an experiment or some kind of a. Because we were I can't remember right now. I have to go back and listen to the show. Oh, Bashi's back. We were talking about how it might be like some kind of an experiment, the whole thing, why they're not evacuating people. We were just discussing that while you were asking about how far away you were from there, asking your wife. But if you could kind of go over that a little bit again, as you had discussed last week.
Yeah, this is just to say, I'm not saying this is the whole reason why it's being, you know, like you want to hit, you got something like this, you got an opportunity like this, you want to hit 20 birds with one stone, 40, 60, 70, 100. Basically, a lot revolves around this thing, this event, this situation. And a lot of people will be wanting to benefit from it. A lot of people have benefited from it. And so experiments will already have been taken. Experiments would have already taken place, and they're still taking place, and people would still do that, and they would still get results. And I know it's kind of like hard to think that would be the case, but it's important. How would you get? What I was saying is, this situation you could not set up. You couldn't set this situation up. It's the perfect opportunity to find out a lot of things, a lot of questions. Maybe not that we wouldn't ask, but a lot of people would want to know. So, and I just think that that's going on as well. It's just one of the things that's going on that can be holding back the recovery efforts, I suppose, to make this situation more sort of like basically cap it. You know, I don't know. I have a vision that they can cap this a lot very simply, and they can sort this problem out very simply. I don't know how. I don't know what. I just know that we've got the capabilities, and they're just not using it. And I think that's to do with they'd have to bring out toys that the population hasn't seen before, and it would be too much. But I do believe that they could do it, but they haven't, and they won't. But I'm just saying that that experiment thing is just one of the stones that, one of the birds from the stone, whatever. It's just one of the situations that it could be a multi-trillion-dollar thing going on. And I'm pretty sure of it. But it's not something. I don't think it's only that reason. Yeah.
So basically, they're taking advantage of this situation to utilize and experiment with whatever tools they have to maybe contain or maybe analyze the situation or analyze the effects, is basically what you're saying. Not that they necessarily caused it, but through the event itself happening, that they're now utilizing this situation to their advantage. That's basically what you're saying, I think. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, for sure, and especially with like if you put this situation in America, you would not be able to do this because it would just be all out chaos. And if you did this in most countries, it would just be all out chaos. Japan seems to be very tolerant with stuff like this, so it's kind of like the perfect opportunity in place. So I don't know, you know, this is life. You know, animal dies, other animals eat it. People, you know, it's very similar to that. People will jump in on this, and they will go, right, let's make money, let's do this, let's do that. I mean, even locals finding ways of making money by helping people from Fukushima move. You know, there's people like Yakuza, the gangs, the street people, they're helping to get people out of Fukushima and live somewhere else and giving them false IDs so nobody knows they're from Fukushima, and setting them up for a hefty price and stuff. You know, there's all that type of stuff going on. I mean, everyone's in it for the buck, and I'm just saying that if I was I don't know, scientific expert or something, and this situation was happening, I think I'd want to see some little results and do some little tests while what's going on with the people up there, what's been released, what really, if I had the information to what really has been released, because even that is has been kept in the dark. As a lot of people said, they can read this, they can read that, they can read cesium or whatever. But there's a whole lot that nobody really knows, and it could have been a lot of stuff that was already placed in there to see what would happen if it came out, and now they're going, oh well, it's not really done much. But you know, just in that kind of general sense.
Bashi, are you back with us? Did you catch that?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm back and I caught that. I had one question. I don't know whether it came through because I was disconnected. My question to Ski is what would you do in case there is another big earthquake coming?
If there was another big earthquake and it came like tonight, I think I'd gather everyone together and call a few friends and get myself out of here.
Would you leave Japan or you would go to the south?
I would go towards Fukushima and then I would leave via boat.
You would go first to...
Yeah, I would go to where everybody's running from, because that way I've got a clear pathway, and then I would take a boat from that area and then leave.
Okay.
Now, I kind of got something already set up and stuff. If something happened and a few people have got it sorted and we know what we're going to do. But that's just in case type of situation. But yeah, but I've got it kind of.
So you have made some arrangements, preparations to move.
Yeah, of course. There's no point in going to the airports or trying to race down south. I mean, if the whole of Tokyo is racing off, you've got no chance. The only possible way is to go in the opposite direction. So just already, you know, you go towards Fukushima, everyone's going to be leaving that area, and I've already got gas masks and stuff like that, and all sorts of stuff that would help me. But mainly is the organisation with fishermen and stuff, and to be able to get off the island, without being all caught up in all the rush type of thing.
Okay.
Well, there's no
Are you
point running going with everyone else, is there? You know?
yeah,
They'll all
yeah,
be looking at
my
me like,
idea,
"What a crazy fucker."
yeah, my first idea would be I would try to cross the mountain range going west, northwest, you know, and then from the other side of the shore going into direction of mainland. Would that not be one route?
Yeah, sure, but it's the amount of people that are here. That's the problem. It's the amount of people that Japan. There's a lot of people here. They'll just be all over the place. I mean, you can run to the mountains, but you can't run away. Basically, you can't really run away from the radiation anyway. Realistically, if it was going to be like that type of explosion or disaster, you can't run away from that. It's going to affect the whole planet, not just Japan. So, you know, at the end of the day, I might just put my head between my legs and kiss my ass goodbye. You know, I just think forget it. What we're running for depends how bad it actually is and how bad the situation. It'd be interesting to see hear what other people would do though. I mean, if you was on the spot, right, I'll start. If you was on the spot here and radiation just went bam, and it was just like, and you just knew that this was it, it's curtains, would you run?
I probably would think about it, but I'd probably also know that I was pretty much done because of the radiation. You know, you're gonna be sick with radiation poisoning, and well, you know, it's a pretty miserable way to go, I'm sure. So I'm thinking, yeah, I probably tried to get away, but how far can you go? You know, once once you've been poisoned, and to the degree of what kind of poisoning you got, there's a lot of things to consider in that aspect. But yeah, if you're that close, yeah, you're probably going to get very sick. And there's no doubt about that. Getting away, well, once it's in your system, how are you going to get away, you know?
Yeah, and plus you wouldn't be welcome anywhere either, realistically, if you did get anywhere, once you got away. I'm pretty sure that it'd be locked down.
That's another thought. You think if people trying to get away, of course, the closest land masses outside of Japan are going to have their borders closed. They're not going to want people flooding in, and that many people flooding in. So they're going to be contained. There's going to be containment everywhere, and these people are going to be miserable. So yeah, where do you run? Where do you hide from something like that?
Yeah, this was something that I read in a book, very interesting. The opening story of the book was about the situation in Japan about 10 years on, and he's talking about how Japan was on shutdown. It was no planes were allowed to fly in Japan. Nobody was allowed to leave. No one's allowed to enter. The place was totally off limits. And you could get, like, on the black market, you could get a flight to Japan, and this guy does this, and he comes into Japan, and he finds that all the old people, through this radiation, are all living longer, and they're all living to, like, 100. It's like people who are 110, they're now 120, and they're still really healthy, but they're sick, but they won't die, you know? So they've got, like, eternal life. It looks like they've got this gift of eternal life, but they don't know how to deal with it, of course, and all the kids are dying, so all the youth seem to die, and all the olders get older, and I think the chapter was called Eternal Life in Japan or something. It's kind of interesting. And then not so long after, I read some stuff about radiation and stuff where it has actually been proven where it can actually improve your lifespan. Don't know what else it can do to you in the meantime, but just read something about that.
I'd be interested in hearing about that. How it can improve your lifespan. That would be an interesting subject.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know if it's true as